Well, last week the video thumbnail was new normal with a picture of Zach Polanski and Nigel Farage on there, and I spent a little bit of time in that video talking about what I see as the evolution of the two-party system in our first past the post voting system, and how it's changing. And this week is a continuation of the theme, but more focusing on the end, which is why the thumbnail is the end. The end of the Conservative and Labour parties' hegemony in British politics. I think we're seeing it play out now, undeniably. We saw it in Gorton and Denton 2 weeks ago, the first by-election for Parliament in a long, long time, where neither Labour nor the Conservative Party finished in the top two. And we have been seeing that in these local council by-elections. And this week, I can tell you, spoiler alert, in all five, neither of the Conservative Party or Labour finished in the top two in any of these either. So it is the end of this era, I think. I think it's coming to an end. It's evolving into something new. And you're getting to live through that. How exciting. How genuinely exciting. So if you're interested in all of that, and you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, follow along, because we're covering these elections every week. So yeah, let's get into these. We're going to start over in the Cotswolds at the Beeches ward, and it was Liberal Democrats' defence. They successfully held, as expected. They were down 2.8 points, so 3 points. Like I say, I don't think more or less than 5% in either direction. Sorry, more than 5% in either direction is all that significant. Someone in the comments took a bit of offence to that last week and said it's an arbitrary number. Well, yeah, of course it's arbitrary. This is my channel. I make the rules, and that's just my opinion. I think if it moves less than 5 points in either direction, I don't think it's all that significant. I don't think it shows us all that much. So yeah, the Liberal Democrats basically maintain their vote share, over 50%, very, very strong for them. Good second place finish for the Reform Party. Now, I don't think they're ever going to win here, but they've beaten the Conservative Party back down into third place. Like I say, no second place finishes for either, or top two finishes for either Labour or the Tories this week. And look, they finished a decent whack ahead of them, 7 points ahead, came straight in at just under 23% of the vote reform. So, and the Tories down again 18 points. So it was seeing again this slide in the Conservative vote. We're seeing that week in, week out. They have, in all fairness, as I've said, had a few successful defences, which is an improvement on what they had most of last year, where they lost most of the wards they were defending. They have managed to successfully defend, but in places where they're already behind, yeah, they're really struggling. And look, Cotswold Council was a Conservative council 10 years ago. It's not anymore, obviously. It's Liberal Democrat now. But yeah, the Reform Party just beating them down into third place. And essentially replacing that party, aren't they? Slowly but surely. The Green Party, they were making an appearance there as well, 3% down, or 3 points down, sorry, to 7%. Not all that significant again. So, look, a good win for the Liberal Democrats, I think expected, really. 220 vote margin of victory, which is good for 30 points, so way ahead. Unfortunately, no turnout data. A number of these don't have turnout data, I'm afraid. So, again, if you know the turnout percentages, please do let us know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll try and find them out and leave them down there for you. So, a good win for the Liberal Democrats in the Beeches, Cotswold. I think I have an apology to make in terms of pronunciation on this one. As soon as I said it last week, I was like, that's not right. I believe it maybe is pronounced Egbeth or Egba. Not sure. So apologies again for pronunciation. Up in Liverpool, anyway. And here's an interesting one. So Liberal Democrats were defending this ward, and the Greens have won. Now, we did say in the preview last week, if the Greens can eat into enough of that Labour vote, they probably have a chance of beating the Liberal Democrats. Well, the Lib Dems were down 13 points themselves. So some of that vote may have gone to the Greens as well, so that they lost a decent chunk of their own vote share. But the Greens were up 29.8, let's call it 30 points. So again, a very, very good result for the Green Party. And this is going to be not uncommon as we come into May. They've really got the wind in their sails after Gorton and Denton. They are definitely on a streak. And coming into May, the local elections, we're going to see a lot of results like this and more. In terms of increasing vote share, we're going to see really high vote share increases, I think, for the Greens in London in particular. And I think in the Northwest, the metropolitan boroughs are up for election. I think Reform probably have the edge up there, I think. Let me know if you disagree. I think the Reform have the edge, but I think in the parts of those councils that are very much in the urban centres, where there's a lot more ethnic minorities and a lot more Muslim voting, the Greens are going to do very well at the expense largely of the Labour Party. So expect to see a lot more of this. As for Labour themselves, look, again, down 21 points to 10% of the vote. Really, I mean, I appreciate it wasn't a war that they were defending. But I think for Labour to see this in Liverpool and to only finish 3 points ahead of Reform, that's got to set alarm bells off. Liverpool is one of the strongest strongholds of Labour over the years, and to see them falling away so much. I appreciate it's only one ward, but wouldn't be surprised if this were echoed across the council and then therefore echoed across the parliamentary constituencies as well. The Greens are definitely eating Labour's lunch, and that has to become a big worry for Labour, because they've already had their breakfast eaten by Reform, and now their lunch is being eaten by the Greens as well. So big problems for Labour. Turnout here, majority of 8 points for the Greens. So fairly comfortable, actually. Not safe, but that's fairly comfortable margin of victory. Turnout was very impressive as well, 42.7% of turnout in Liverpool too. So a good win for the Green Party, and I think really big alarm bells for Labour. And again, look, here you go. Here's the other side of the coin. Labour and Conservative hegemony ending, very much so, I think. Over to Lincolnshire then. Sleaford, Westholme, North Kesteven. Localists were defending, and the Reform Party have won. And this was, I think, really the only one Reform could win this week, and they've done it very convincingly, actually. I said last week that this could be one that is won on a very low vote share, because last time it was won on 29% of the vote. But actually, Reform have come in and eaten up a lot of the other parties' votes, and come in straight at 45%, and had a very commanding victory here. The Localists were down 13 points to 16% of the vote. And the Conservatives, in a council historically that has been a stronghold for them, they're up 15 points because they didn't stand last time. So they come in with a nominally increased vote share, but only good enough for third place. Again, like I say, traditionally the county at least is a Conservative heartland, and now look at them, they're struggling to finish in third place. Not good for them. Other than that, the Greens were down there. They came straight in as well at 10 points, having not stood before. So a decent showing from them too. And the Independent, I don't know if it's the same Independent that stood last time or a different one, but this one down 20 points. And I assume a lot of that vote went to Reform. So look, a good win for Reform. Like I said, I think this is the only one on the ticket this week that they had a chance of winning, and one that they should have won. If they hadn't won, I think that would have been alarm bells for Reform. But we've become quite used to seeing Reform do very well in Lincolnshire. Very much a heartland territory for them these days. They've utterly replaced the Conservatives, and very strong performance for them. So their majority was 29 points, which is very comfortable, very much safe. And again, sadly, no turnout data there, I'm afraid. So if I can find some, I will put that in the video description or in a comment somewhere below. So a good win for Reform in North Kesteven. Now this one, Abingdon Abbey, Northcourt, Vale of Whitehorse. So we spoke about this last week, didn't we? It's a Green defence because the Green councillor is no longer able to fill their seat. But if you remember, it's a dual councillor ward, two councillor ward. The Liberal Democrats won the vote share last time, so their councillor came top. I was reliably informed that it wasn't that the Lib Dems put up two councillors. They only had one standing. So the Greens had enough of the vote share to win the second spot. So it was one Green, one Lib Dem on this ward. So nominally, it was actually a Liberal Democrat defence, really, because they had the greater vote share last time. And so they've essentially held, but they've gained the seat off of the Greens. Nominal increase of 3 points in their vote share, again, is not all that significant. The Greens, in the other direction, were down 2 points, not all that significant. So those two really have maintained their vote share. What I think is interesting here, again, is looking at Reform and the Tories. So Reform come in third place, look way off the pace. Like I said, they're never going to win here, but they come in, they get just under 14% of the vote, and the Conservatives are down 7 points to less than 7% of the vote. So they've lost half their vote share from 2023, where they didn't do particularly well either. And again, just the end, isn't it? It's the end. And why is it significant? Well, they've been beaten down to fourth place by Reform, who finish in third, and they finish, twice as many votes ahead of them. But more significantly, if we just hop across to Open Council data, here's this council from 2016. It was a Conservative majority council, and a decent majority as well. You can see that dashed line there on that little chart on the right-hand side. You can see there are that's the line of how many councils you need for a majority, and they're comfortably ahead of that in 2016. You fast forward 10 years to now, and there's no Conservative councillors in the Vale of Whitehorse at all, and they're being beaten down into fourth place by Reform and the Greens and the Liberal Democrats. It's the end. It's the end of this two-party system as we know it. Like I said last week, I think another two parties will emerge to fill the void. But the Conservative and the Labour Party hegemony is over, at least in the guise that we know them as anyway. So look, in terms of the result, it's a nominal Liberal Democrat hold, but they gain a seat off the Green Party. They had a majority of 11 points, and again, no turnout data, unfortunately. But like I said, I think the big story from this ward is the Conservatives falling further and further behind in a part of the country that they had decisive control of 10 years ago. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Lastly for this week, Penrith South, Westmoreland and Furness Council. I have to apologise. I thought this was in Tim Farron's constituency. It isn't, actually. So Liberal Democrats were defending. They hold, as expected anyway, down 1.5 points. So again, nothing to speak about there. They basically maintain their vote share. However, again, Reform with a very, very good and strong second place finish here. 34% of the vote for them, having not stood here before. And I think this was, like I say, the North Kesteven Lincolnshire Council was the only one I think Reform could win. But then to see them finish in two pretty solid second places and a third place ahead of the Tories in Vale of Whitehorse, that's all they could ask for from this week. And it shows that they're there or thereabouts. And I suppose this is what I mean in terms of, I think when I speak about the Green Party, yes, they're doing very well. They're surging. Like I said, they're going to surge in London. Liverpool we've seen today. Other places up there in the northwest and other urban areas around the country, city areas where the students, ethnic minorities and particularly Muslims, the Greens are going to do very well. But I don't see them having these strong second places in other areas where you wouldn't necessarily expect them to do all that well. I think that's probably a bit unfair on Reform to say you wouldn't expect them to do that well up here in this part of the country. But you see the Greens do very well in where you expect them to do well. There aren't too many surprise packages from the Greens, I think, at the moment. Probably explain that really, really poorly, but let me know what you think in the comments. I just don't see the Green surge as being as ubiquitous as the Reform one was in 2024, 2025 at the moment. But they are doing remarkably well, and they will have a very successful May. But yeah, Reform with a very strong second place there. The Greens were up 2 points, so not really that significant. And the Conservatives, again, down 15 points. They finish in last place. Look, a really bad week for the Conservatives, actually. Just, I think, hammering home this, or putting the nail in the coffin of the idea that there is a Conservative rebound out there, because we are not seeing it. And I think the polls themselves have started to show the Conservatives stalling again, having gained maybe 2 points or 3 points over the last quarter of last year and into this year. And now they're slipping again back towards sort of maybe even 15% nationally. So, yeah, look, it's not good news for the Conservative Party. I think they're in dire straits. I still maintain I think they don't. I don't see a way back for them, unless the big unless is if Reform really fumble the bag. But then even if they do that, I don't see support really returning to the Conservative Party, because if Reform fumble the bag, they're not going to go back to a centrist Conservative Party. And despite what they might want to say, that's what the Conservative Party very much is. I think they're still very much good at talking a right-wing game, but I don't think many people believe that they believe it, and there's a lot of people with influence in the Conservative Party that don't want that either. So, it seems to me like it's a dead end for the Tories, and I don't think they can get out of it. And Labour is joining them in that with every passing week. Like, I haven't said yet that Labour are finished. I don't necessarily think they are yet. I think at the moment what we're seeing with Labour is a bit of it's largely a personal vote on Keir Starmer. That the Prime Minister is deeply disliked across the country. I think a lot of people see him as incompetent, and he is not liked personally. And I think a lot of that is rubbing off on the Labour vote. We'll have to wait and see, because he will be gone after May, I'm fairly certain. I mean, I know he's called Teflon Keir, because he managed to ride out that Mandelson scandal somehow, and the Gorton Denton by-election. So fair play to him. He's got sticking power. But I feel like May will not be survivable for him. So we'll see after that, with a new leader in place, maybe the Labour Party's fortunes will turn around. Let me know what you think. But I think it's too early to say Labour are finished just yet, even though their situation in some ways looks worse than the Conservatives right now. Anyway, as a majority of 9 points for the Liberal Democrats up there in Westmoreland and Furness, turnout a bit disappointing, actually, 24% over there. So now we're going to have a quick look at next week's by-election. And I have to say it's by-election because there is only one, unfortunately. So this is the one Milford-Haken ward in Pembrokeshire, and it's an independent defence. And interestingly, we'll just hop across again to Open Council data here. You can see it's actually a very strong independent presence in this council. They it seems to be controlled by independent Labour and Lib Dems, but as far as this goes anyway, the other independents have an outright majority of their own. So they're very much in control, very much an independent-minded part of Wales, clearly. So look, yeah, independent stepping down. They got 48.7% of the vote last time. Another independent got 30%. The Tories are in third and last place with 21%. Far more people standing this time than last time. You got another 3 independents, so an extra independent what stood last time, plus the Greens, Labour, Lib Dem, and Reform as well. So much more crowded ballot paper, much more on offer. So possibly this one could be one with a smaller vote share in that 26 to 30% vote range potentially. But I think actually I'm probably expecting to see an independent hold here, as an independent win again, one of those 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's in basically based off this and looking at that council. I wouldn't be all that surprised if it's an independent win and an independent finishes second as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Let me know what you think. If you live close or you're in Pembrokeshire, let me know. Interesting, there's no Plaid Cymru standing here. I don't think there's any Plaid Cymru representation on that council at all either. So interesting, because I thought that part of the country was more sort of Plaid Cymru supporting. But yeah, let me know what you think. And that's going to do it for this week, guys. That is it. Obviously, only the one to get through next week means it's going to be a very short video. We've got some to preview as well for the week after, fortunately. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you want to talk about next week. I'm open to ideas and suggestions. Yeah, whatever you like. I did see on last week's video, a few people commented about my comments on First Past the Post. Wanted me to chat more about that. So if that's interesting for you, then let me know, or whatever else. Yeah, suggest some things, and we'll have a little, I don't know, 5-10 minute section after looking at this one by-election result next week. So yeah, thank everybody for watching. Like I say, this is very interesting times of British politics. That 2-party system is very much evolving into something new, and you're getting to live through it, which I think is very exciting. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, as it very much helps, and of course, as always, do get involved in the comments. I always enjoy seeing you guys getting involved with your perspectives and your takes and everything. So yeah, it's very much contributory to the channel. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.